She looked me in the eye and said, "I'm not responsible for your happiness." That was the moment I realized I'd been living in a marriage with someone who had quietly checked out. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I just started making moves. By the time she realized what she'd lost, I was already gone. I remember the exact moment everything changed. We weren't fighting. There was no dramatic affair reveal, no shouting match, no slammed doors. Just a quiet Tuesday evening in the kitchen. Jessica had a glass of wine in one hand, her phone in the other, scrolling like always. I was rinsing the dishes, still wearing my tie from work, trying to shake off the day. And I asked something simple, something couples ask when they still believe in us. "Want to watch a movie together tonight? Just the two of us." She didn't look up, didn't even pause her scrolling. "I'm not responsible for your happiness," she said. No eye contact, no tone, just flat. I stood there with my hands wet and still, waiting for her to laugh, clarify, say she was kidding. But she didn't. She just walked away. It wasn't the words. It was the way she said them, like she was reciting a motivational quote she half understood, proud of herself for finally setting a boundary. But that wasn't a boundary. That was a door shutting in my face. That night, I didn't argue. I didn't beg her to talk. I didn't sleep either. I lay in bed with her back turned to me, staring at the ceiling, asking myself questions I didn't want answers to. When did we stop being partners? When did I become a burden? Over the next few days, I started seeing things I'd been ignoring. Jessica stopped making 2 cups of coffee in the morning. She used to pour mine first, no sugar, just how I liked it. Now it was just hers, foamed and flavored, placed carefully beside her laptop. She began referring to things differently. It was her money when she got her bonus. My job when the lawn needed mowing. Your errands when I asked her to grab groceries on the way home. It was subtle, like a rebranding of our marriage, one sentence at a time. And then there were the vanishing acts. She'd disappear for hours, no texts, no heads up. "Just needed time to recharge," she'd say, with that same emotionally distant shrug. Her social media was full of inspirational quotes about self-love and not settling, each post ending with a "commerce new me" or "honor self-growth." What she called growth, I called exit strategy. Still, I tried to believe it was a phase. Work stress, maybe burnout. But deep down, I knew. Her laughter had changed. She'd laugh louder at texts from people I didn't know. She'd lock her phone when I walked by. Not out of guilt, but almost out of habit, like she had already redrawn the lines between us. And what scared me most? I was starting to feel like a guest in my own life. I was the guy who fixed things, paid bills, remembered her dad's birthday when she didn't. I kept the machine running, and somewhere along the line, she stopped noticing. Or maybe she just stopped caring. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I adjusted. I started observing her like I was preparing for something, an emotional audit. I noticed how she only talked to me about logistics, groceries, bills, schedules, anything that required feeling, vulnerability, or effort. Silence. And then came the bathroom conversation. I hadn't meant to eavesdrop. I was walking by when I heard her voice on speakerphone. Casual, relaxed, almost cheerful. "He's just heavy," she said. "Emotionally, I mean. It's exhausting. I can't be everything for him." It wasn't even anger I felt. It was confirmation. She wasn't overwhelmed. She was done. That night I made a quiet decision. If I truly wasn't her responsibility, then she wasn't mine either. I didn't slam doors. I didn't announce anything. I just started treating our marriage the way she had been for months, as optional. I stopped asking what she wanted for dinner. I cooked for one. I folded my own laundry and left hers in the basket. If she left a mess in the kitchen, I left it too. She'd always assumed I'd clean it up, but I was done playing caretaker in a one-sided partnership. The first few days, she didn't say anything. Either she didn't notice or she didn't care. But by day 4, she finally asked, "You're not doing the recycling anymore?" I looked up from my book and said, "Since I'm not in charge of your happiness, I figured I'm probably not in charge of your wine bottles either." She blinked like she'd just noticed something that had been in front of her all along. But she didn't argue. She walked away. That was the beginning of the shift. She started testing the water, leaving small invitations, asking if I wanted to go for a walk, telling me I looked nice today, even showing interest in my job again. But I didn't bite, because now I was watching for something else. Not love, not remorse, but patterns. And what I saw was a woman who wanted the comfort of a husband without offering the commitment of a wife. And I realized something deeper than anger. I wasn't heartbroken, I was done. I didn't plan revenge. That would have required me to care more than I did. What I planned was detachment, calculated, quiet, and consistent. Jessica didn't notice at first. She thought it was a mood swing, maybe burnout. She assumed I'd reset myself like I always did. But I wasn't resetting anymore. I was rerouting. I stopped asking about her day. If she shared something, I nodded, offered a generic comment, and moved on. If she was heading out, I didn't ask where. If she came home late, I didn't check the clock. I gave her exactly what she said she wanted: space, freedom, emotional independence. But there's a difference between independence and isolation, and she began to feel it. One night she made dinner, a full spread. She even set the table, something she hadn't done in months. I walked in, blinked at the effort, and asked, "What's the occasion?" She shrugged. Thought it'd be nice. We ate in silence, and when she asked how work was, I gave her surface-level answers. Nothing more. No anecdotes, no inside jokes, just facts. After dinner, she lingered by the sink, waiting for something. Maybe a compliment, maybe validation. I rinsed my plate and left hers untouched. She didn't try again the next night. Instead, she shifted her approach. She began asking small questions. "Did you eat?" Or, "When are you coming home?" Her voice softer, more cautious, like she was trying not to startle something already walking away. I answered honestly but briefly, "Out with coworkers. Later tonight." No emojis, no warmth. The first time I stayed out past 10 p.m., she texted twice. "Everything okay?" Followed by, "Should I wait up?" I read them, put my phone away, and finished my drink with the team. I wasn't being cruel. I was giving her the version of me she'd said she didn't need. A week later, she tried again, this time with nostalgia. She came downstairs on a Saturday morning wearing a dress she hadn't worn in over a year. She leaned against the counter and asked, "Do I look okay in this?" "You look good," I said, and I meant it. She looked fine, not because she'd changed, but because I had. I wasn't looking at her through the same lens anymore. She stood there longer than necessary, expecting more. When I didn't offer it, she dumped her coffee and went back upstairs. That was new. At work, I started taking on more projects, said yes to team outings. I had dinner with coworkers, joined a Saturday hiking group, and signed up for a local car restoration class. Something I'd always wanted to do but never had time for. Jessica noticed. "Who are you hiking with?" she asked casually one Sunday morning. "Just some people from work." She raised an eyebrow. "Anyone I know?" I shrugged. "Doubt it." She didn't press. But later that day, I found her pacing the kitchen, phone in hand, not texting, just holding it, like she was waiting for me to ask her something I no longer cared to know. By now, the dynamic had flipped. I wasn't the one orbiting anymore. That week, she cooked again, lit candles, made my favorite salad, even played the playlist we used to eat dinner to. I came home late. The food was still warm, the candles still flickering. She tried to play it cool. "Thought we could eat together." We did, but I was careful, respectful, kind, but emotionally unavailable. She reached for connection. I offered politeness. That night, she got into bed and pressed her shoulder against mine like she used to. I stayed still. She whispered, "Are you awake?" I didn't respond. She turned away after a minute, and I lay there wide awake, not out of frustration, but relief, because I didn't feel guilty anymore. It wasn't just her that had changed. I had too. I was no longer chasing someone who'd made it clear I wasn't worth the effort. And that shift, the quiet realization that I deserved more than crumbs, was more satisfying than any argument could have been. The next day, I noticed her cleaning the house more, playing upbeat music, leaving doors open when she talked on the phone. She was performing happiness, not feeling it. She wanted me to notice. I didn't. One evening, I came home to find her laughing loudly on a phone call. She was sitting on the couch, legs crossed, posture too deliberate. The laughter stopped when she saw me. She ended the call quickly. "Want to sit with me for a bit?" she asked. "No, I've got a few things to work on in the garage." She blinked. "You've been spending a lot of time in there." "I'm rebuilding the Mustang." It was true. That old project car I'd neglected for 2 years was finally getting attention. I didn't tell her that fixing something outside the marriage felt a lot better than pretending to fix what was already broken inside it. She tried one last angle. Her sister. One night I got a call from Carly. "I'm just going to be real," she said. "Jessica says you've completely shut down. Are you trying to punish her?" I let the silence linger before answering. "She once told me she's not responsible for my happiness." I took her at her word. I stopped asking her to carry what she never wanted. "She didn't tell me that," Carly said, voice quieter now. "She didn't have to," I replied. "She showed it, every day." Carly sighed. "She thought if she gave you space, you'd fight for her." "That's the problem. I did. For years. But at some point, you stop chasing someone who doesn't want to be caught." I thanked her for the call. I knew she meant well. But it was too late for third-party insight. The next morning, Jessica set 2 mugs on the counter. "I'm making breakfast," she said. "Thought we could eat together." "Thanks," I said, grabbing my keys. "But I've got plans." "Plans?" she asked. "I'm meeting someone for a hike. Just trying to take better care of myself." She froze, spatula in hand. "Someone?" "A guy from work. Chill." I wasn't lying. I just wasn't correcting the story her imagination was already writing. As I walked out, I could feel her confusion, the slow panic setting in. But it wasn't revenge. It was balance. Jessica changed tactics again. Gone were the passive attempts to reconnect. Now she pushed harder. Sharper words, sudden emotion, less pretense. One night, as I walked past her in the hallway, she snapped, "So what? You're just not going to try anymore?" I stopped, looked at her, not with anger, not even sadness, just clarity. "You stopped trying a long time ago," I said. "I just finally matched your energy." Her lips parted like she wanted to argue. But she didn't. Instead, she slept that night fully dressed, lying as far from me as she could without falling off the bed. Not a word, not a touch, not even breathing in sync anymore. That was the moment I realized she felt it too. The final drift. The next weekend, she dressed up again, more deliberate this time. Makeup, perfume, the dress she used to save for birthdays or dinner dates. She walked past me, grabbed her keys and asked, "Want to come with me?" I didn't even look up from the book I was reading. "No thanks, already ate." She hesitated at the door. "It's that new Mediterranean place. You said you like Greek food." "I do," I said, "but I'm not hungry." She left anyway, slamming the door just enough to make a point. Later that night, I saw the Instagram post. Dim lighting, wine glasses. Caption, "Taking myself out. Happiness starts within." It wasn't for her followers. It was for me. But I didn't respond. Didn't comment. Didn't ask how dinner was. I let her live in the echo of the silence she created. That's when she tried a new move. Vulnerability. No performance. No makeup. Just her in a hoodie, sitting beside me on the couch one evening while I worked on my laptop. "I know things have been off between us," she said. "I feel it too." I looked at her carefully. "Off?" She nodded. I just, I want to know when we stop being us." I closed the laptop slowly. "We didn't stop being us," I said. "You stopped being part of us?" She blinked, processing it. "That's not fair." "It's true, I didn't pull away until you made it clear my needs were mine alone to manage." Her eyes dropped to the floor. I waited. I'd been expecting this moment. What I didn't expect was how hollow it would feel. Then came the pivot. "I met someone," she said. Voice quiet, like she was testing how much pain it would cause. I didn't move. I just listened. "I didn't sleep with him," she added quickly. "But we talked. We texted. I don't know. It felt safe." He listened. There it was. The confession she thought would provoke a reaction. She thought I'd fight for her, compete, reclaim what was slipping away. But that man wasn't here anymore. He'd left the day she said she wasn't responsible for my happiness. "Thank you for telling me," I said. Her expression twisted. "That's it? You already made it clear how little you valued what we had. This just confirms it. You don't care? I cared when it would have mattered. She stood slowly, searching for something to hold on to. You're punishing me. No, I said. I'm just mirroring you. I stopped investing in someone who cashed out long before I did. She didn't cry. Not yet. But she left the room like someone finally realizing the fire they started was out of control. A few days later, she came home flustered, dropped her bag on the counter. I went to see a therapist, she said. She thinks we might need counseling. I kept slicing the apple in my hand. Maybe, I said, but I don't think this is a marriage anymore. She inhaled sharply, like she'd just been hit. Are you ending this? I'm preparing, I said. I've been documenting everything. Financials, communication, timelines. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the man standing in front of her. I'm not here to punish you, I said. I'm just done being punished for loving someone who didn't love me back. That night, her mother called me. We hadn't spoken in months. I'm not taking sides, she started, which always means someone's about to take sides. But I think you should know something. She only started talking to that guy because she thought you were going to leave her. She panicked. I stayed quiet. She never believed you'd stop caring, her mom added. She said she needed to feel wanted. I thanked her for the call. I didn't say much else. But in my head, I thought, she wanted to feel wanted. I wanted to feel respected. The next day, I filed the paperwork. Quietly. No drama, no confrontation. Just a man doing what needed to be done. I didn't leave right away. I let the envelope sit on the kitchen counter, the way she used to leave her wine glasses for me to clean up. She came home, saw it, and froze. You're really doing this? She asked. Yeah. Her voice cracked. This is just a rough patch. Marriages go through this. I nodded. True, but rough patches require two people walking through them. You left me in the middle of the storm. She stepped closer. You never told me you were hurting. I did, over and over. You told me it wasn't your job to fix me. I didn't mean it like that, she said. I thought if I pulled away, you'd try harder. I did, until I realized I was chasing someone who liked being chased more than being caught. Her hands trembled. So what? That's it? You're just walking away? No, I said. I'm leaving something you already threw away. I'm just the last one to admit it. She reached out. I stepped back. You didn't know how far you pushed me, I said. That's the point. You weren't paying attention. She didn't argue, not anymore. We stood there for a long time. Then I picked up the small box I'd packed, walked past her, and stepped outside. The door didn't slam. It just clicked shut. A week after serving the divorce papers, I moved into a modest apartment near the river. Nothing fancy, just quiet, just mine. No more tense silences over dinner, no more walking on eggshells. I cooked what I wanted, listened to the music I liked, and slept without that aching weight of trying to repair something already broken. The apartment wasn't a new beginning. It was a clean ending. I didn't block her. I didn't ghost her. I just stopped initiating. A few days later, I got a text from Jessica. I cleaned out the garage, left a few of your boxes by the front door. I didn't throw them away. That last sentence stuck out, like she wanted credit for restraint, for not discarding what remained of me. I replied, thanks, I'll pick them up this weekend. 5 minutes later, another message came. I miss you. I didn't think I would, but I do. Of course I do. I didn't respond. When I showed up that Saturday, she opened the door slowly. She looked tired. Not physically, but the kind of tired that comes from realizing you're too late. I thought we had more time, she said. I nodded. We did. You just didn't think time would run out. She looked like she wanted to argue, but she didn't. She nodded, stepped aside, and let me grab my boxes. We stood in silence for a moment. You really moved on, she said. I really let go. She didn't say anything else. I walked down the steps and back to my car without looking back. Later that week, I got a call from Carly, her sister, again. I know this is none of my business, she began, but Jess is falling apart. She thought the papers were just a warning. She didn't think you'd actually go through with it. She didn't think, I said quietly. That's the problem. She acted like I'd never leave. She's trying now. It's not about trying now. It's about what she didn't do when it mattered. She was scared, Carly said. So was I replied. But I still showed up. I still loved her. That was the last time we spoke. Jessica tried one more time. A voicemail this time. I know I broke us. I know I let you down. I just want a chance to fix it. I've started therapy. I'm working on myself. I miss your laugh, your presence, the way you made me feel safe. I thought I needed space to grow, but I just ended up alone. She paused. I won't ask you to come back. I just want you to know I see it now. Everything you gave. And I'm sorry. I listened to it once, then I deleted it. Because I didn't need her apology. I needed her respect. And that had come far too late. The silence that followed was different this time. Not avoidance. Not manipulation. It was acceptance. She stopped texting. Stopped trying. Maybe she finally realized there was nothing left to salvage. Months passed. I got into a rhythm. I found a routine that didn't revolve around walking on emotional glass. I rebuilt the Mustang. I hiked on weekends. I took up boxing at a local gym. It wasn't about distraction. It was about rediscovery. Every now and then, I'd remember the good things. How she used to trace patterns on my hand while we watched TV. The way she'd laugh at old sitcoms. I didn't push those memories away. I let them come and go like passing clouds. Not because I wanted her back, but because grieving the good is part of letting go properly. One evening, I got a message from an unknown number. A friend of Jessica's. Apparently, she was moving out of state, starting over. I wished her well silently. That was her path now. Mine had already diverged. I never responded. There was no dramatic final confrontation, no screaming match, no cathartic scene. Just life continuing without her in it. And somehow, that was enough. I didn't plan to see her again. But life has a way of placing old chapters in front of you, just when you've stopped rereading them. It had been nearly 6 months since we last spoke when I got another text from Jessica. This weekend okay to pick up the rest of your stuff? I boxed it up. Straightforward, no emotion, just logistics. I replied, yeah, Saturday afternoon works. When I arrived, she opened the door, then stepped aside wordlessly. The boxes were lined up near the front hallway. She didn't say much, just watched as I lifted them one by one. As I turned to leave, she finally spoke. You look peaceful. I am. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just stood there like someone realizing the silence wasn't temporary anymore. I used to think you'd always be there, she said quietly. I used to think I'd always want to be, I replied. There was a long pause. No more arguments, no attempts to reopen wounds. Just acknowledgement of what we'd lost and who had let it happen. I wish I had paid attention sooner, she added. I wish you had too. I kept waiting for you to fight for us. I did. You just mistook it for weakness. She nodded like someone accepting the sentence after the trial's already ended. There was nothing left to say, and that finally was enough for both of us. As I walked back to my car, I felt no urge to look back. Jessica once told me she wasn't responsible for my happiness. At the time, it cut deep, but now I see the truth in it. She was right, just not in the way she thought. No one else is responsible for our happiness. But that also means we're not required to carry the emotional weight for people who won't carry us back. Happiness isn't something you outsource, and love isn't real unless it's reciprocal. The hardest part wasn't losing her. It was realizing I lost myself while trying to keep her close. And the most freeing part? Getting myself back, not out of spite, not to prove anything, but because I finally understood something she never did. Being needed isn't the same as being loved, and being chased isn't the same as being chosen. In the months that followed, I started building a life that wasn't reactionary. I made peace with the quiet. I stopped explaining myself to people who never listened. I stopped chasing people who only valued the version of me that served their comfort. I didn't jump into another relationship. I didn't seek revenge, validation, or closure. I didn't need to. Healing doesn't come with dramatic moments. It comes with slow mornings, uninterrupted thoughts, and the absence of chaos. One day I walked past a park where a couple was arguing. The guy looked tired, worn down, not angry, just exhausted from trying to convince someone he was worth loving. I wanted to tell him what I learned the hard way. If someone can't hear you when you're calm, they won't understand you when you scream. And if you have to beg for love, it's already a transaction, not a relationship. That night, as I cooked dinner in my quiet apartment, I got a message from a friend. You seem different lately, lighter, happier. I looked around my space, simple, still, clean. I am, I replied, because I'd finally stopped trying to repair what someone else kept breaking. And that, not closure, not reconciliation, is what real freedom looks like.